In a world where the moon is undergoing a catastrophic mutation, temperatures have skyrocketed above 100 degrees Celsius. The surface of the Earth has become so unbearably hot that power plants explode from the heat. Stepping outside for more than 20 seconds leads to instant fainting, and touching the asphalt results in melting. Society is confined indoors, making supplies the most precious commodity. Our protagonist has managed to survive for 5 years with his girlfriend. However, as their supplies dwindled, she betrayed him by sending someone to kill him before everything ran out. Now, 5 years back in time, he has a chance to change everything. With the ability to stockpile food and resources, he vows to accumulate 3 billion resources and become the cruelest person seeking revenge. Currently, our protagonist finds himself on a bus where passengers discuss a recent earthquake at Mount Fuji that killed dozens and prompted the evacuation of their city. A girl in a tight pink dress laments that she couldn't even buy supplies before leaving, while a man beside her mentions the mysterious disappearance of supplies from surrounding cities. Another man with shaved hair recounts similar occurrences at Dongming Lake in Shunqing City and the Durundong warehouse. Amidst their conversation, our protagonist interjects, explaining that the missing supplies are worth trillions of yuan. He warns that the natural disasters and disappearances indicate something significant is happening. The girl anxiously asks if it's the end of the world, while a guy in a green shirt expresses excitement, believing it will bring equality. However, our protagonist knows better. Inequality will only worsen, as he experienced firsthand in his past life. Once he was an ordinary delivery guy, his life turned upside down when the apocalypse began. Heat waves scorched the earth, tectonic plates shifted, and creatures emerged from the core. The world changed overnight, and in this new order, even basic supplies like instant noodles became worth millions yuan. A single sausage could buy any favor. Reborn a month before it all started, our protagonist is determined to be better prepared this time. The girl in the pink dress clings to him, seeking comfort, but he leaves, knowing there are more important things to do. As he gets off the bus, he wonders in an apocalypse what's the most important things. Clearly it's resources. In an apocalypse, supplies and resources are paramount. In his last life, he wasted his time searching for them, but this time he must be prepared in advance. As his boss announces a pay cut, he apologizes, knowing he will soon have all the supplies he needs. Working at Walmart, he remembers how his boss hoarded supplies and fled during the first apocalypse. This time, he decides to take matters into his own hands. He opens the warehouse and activates his system, which detects nearby supplies and transports them to his spatial space, a massive area over 10,000 meters in dimension where time is frozen, keeping the food perfect indefinitely. He has been secretly stockpiling water from lakes and supplies from cities destined for destruction. Finally, he feels prepared. As he finishes, 3 co-workers enter the now empty warehouse and demand an explanation. Our protagonist calmly reveals that he took everything. The boss, baffled by Su Chen's actions, orders his 2 subordinates to apprehend him. As they approach, Su Chen steps back and mysteriously vanishes into thin air, leaving them puzzled and wondering where he disappeared to. Outside, Su Chen reappears thanks to his second ability, spatial jump. With this power, he can teleport up to 3 meters away, making it easier to gather supplies and escape unnoticed. He tosses his uniform into the air, declaring, "Collection complete." Just then, a message from the authorities pops up on his phone, warning about strange movements on Earth and urging everyone to be cautious as a disaster could strike. But there's no need to panic. Su Chen finds this curious, as the real chaos hasn't started yet. Do they somehow know the future? His phone rings. It's his girlfriend, Jiang Shaoqian. Sighing, he answers. She scolds him for putting their house up for sale, questioning his responsibility. Even though she doesn't want the house, she demands he prove himself by transferring the house to her for security. Su Chen calmly asks if she has anything else to say. She continues, saying if he hands over the house, she'll give him another chance. Otherwise, he can forget about marrying her. Su Chen hangs up without a word. He recalls the past 5 years of the apocalypse, tirelessly hunting for supplies to feed her and taking her to safe zones. If it weren't for him, she would have starved in the early days. He vividly remembers the day he returned home, only to be attacked because he wasn't bringing in enough supplies. They accused him of hiding something. After they killed him, they celebrated next to his body. Zhang Xiaoqian coldly told her new lover, Wang Haoyu, that Su Chen died because he was useless and incompetent. Devastated by the betrayal, Su Chen vows that Zhang Xiaoqian and Wang Haoyu will pay dearly in this new life. They won't die easily. They will feel the pain he felt 100 times over. Calming himself, Su Chen realizes he needs money to buy the things not found in the market. He calls a guy named Lu, offering to sell his house at half price for immediate payment. When he arrives at the real estate agency, Zhang Xiaoqian is there, furious that he kept her waiting. Ignoring her, he walks past. Wang Haoyu confronts him, threatening that if he sells the house again, he won't see another sunrise. At that moment, Su Chen, now skilled in combat after surviving the apocalypse, grabs Wang Haoyu by the neck and throws him to the ground, asserting, I can do whatever I want with my things. Zhang Xiaoqian, scared by Su Chen's sudden aggression, tries to stop him but receives a slap, falling to the ground in disbelief. Meanwhile, Wang Haoyu begs Su Chen to let him go, saying he's almost suffocating. Su Chen reassures him, Don't worry, you won't die so easily, and releases him, leaving him shocked and gasping on the ground. Su Chen enters the real estate agency, ignoring Zhang Xiaoqian's threats that if he kneels down and apologizes, she'll consider his case. He glances back at them, and they flee in fear. Inside, the attendant offers Su Chen some water and quickly agrees to buy his house. The realtor plans to make a profit by reselling it, as Su Chen is selling a 1,000,000 yuan house for 700,000 yuan. Su Chen agrees to sell but demands full payment immediately. The realtor consents, planning to finalize everything by tomorrow morning. Su Chen knows that houses will soon lose all value as the temperatures rise, despite the current calm. Walking down the street, Su Chen spots a poster advertising quick loans and decides to visit with his house certificate. He's shocked to find that the lender is the older brother of the man he just beat up. Su Chen knows this guy will be one of the first to die in the apocalypse. The lender offers 500,000 yuan, but Su Chen demands an additional 100,000 yuan, promising to win it all back at the casino in a week. The lender, seeing Su Chen as a reckless gambler, agrees and transfers 600,000 yuan. Meanwhile, Zhang Xiaoqian and Wang Haoyu are furious and decide to confront Su Chen. They spot him, and Wang Haoyu grabs his neck in fear, but decides to follow him instead. Su Chen remembers that several buildings will collapse due to upcoming tsunamis, but the Green City Hotel will withstand all disasters. He decides the presidential suite, with its pool and ample food supplies, is a good base. At the hotel, Su Chen is greeted by the attendant, Lu Xinrui. He requested 1,000 table for a banquet, startling her. He specifies the most expensive tables, costing 10,000 yuan each, and makes a deposit of 500,000 yuan. Lu Xinrui, though incredulous, leads him to finalize the payment, thinking he must be very wealthy. Su Chen explains that the banquet is for a wedding and also secures the presidential suite. Later, as Su Chen leaves the hotel, pleased with his acquisition of over 10 million yuan in food for just 500,000 yuan, Zhang Xiaoqian appears and asks the attendant what Su Chen was doing. Lu Xinrui tells her about the extravagant banquet and the 500,000 yuan deposit. Zhang Xiaoqian is stunned, and Wang Haoyu refuses to believe that Su Chen has so much money. Lu Xinrui shows them the transfer receipt, confirming the payment. On the street, Wang Haoyu asks Zhang Xiaoqian who Su Chen plans to invite to a 1,000-person banquet. Confidently, Zhang Xiaoqian replies, You really don't understand, do you? He's trying to introduce me to the circle of millionaires he knows. Only then will he reveal my identity. Wang Haoyu wants to venture into the mountains, but Zhang Xiaoqian slaps him, determined to stay close to Su Chen. Imagining herself as a wealthy lady, she sees an opportunity to elevate her status and decides to create as many chances as possible to remain with Su Chen. Zhang Xiaoqian never imagined she'd have to marry Su Chen, the loser. As she dives herself into her delusional daydreaming, her eyes become sparkle. Meanwhile, Su Chen is tallying his resources, 700,000 yuan from selling his house, 600,000 yuan from a loan, and 500,000 yuan for the banquet. With his name soon to be tarnished, he decides to take out even more loans. Installing multiple banking apps on his phone, he creates over 80 accounts and manages to secure an additional 970,000 yuan. Now, Suchin focuses on essential survival items not available in markets. He buys a fireplace, an ice-making machine, ice blocks, smokeless charcoal, and other necessities online. With fast delivery, he orders 2,000 tons of smokeless charcoal and reserves ice from a factory. Walking down the street, Suchin encounters Lena, a friend of Jiang Shaoqian. She tells him that Jiang Shaoqian misses him. Knowing Lena always spoke ill of him, Suchin retorts, "Miss me? She must miss my house." Lena tries to play along, but Suchin dismisses her. Jiang Shaoqian rushes to apologize, feeling embarrassed and asking Suchin to accompany her for a walk. He ignores her, prompting Jiang Shaoqian to lose her temper, while Lena suggests they follow him to see what he's up to. Suchin arrives at the ice factory, where the owner is impressed by his youth. Suchin asks if the 2,000 tons of edible ice are ready. The attendant, who guarantees fast delivery, requires a small deposit. Suchin transfers 100,000 yuan, ensuring delivery in 3 days. When the attendant asks why he needs so much ice, Suchin says it's for a charity event and leaves. Shortly after, Jiang Shaoqian and Lena arrive at the factory. Jiang Shaoqian claims Suchin is her boyfriend and asks what he ordered. The seller reveals Suchin ordered 800,000 yuan worth of ice. Both women are shocked. Lena asks what Suchin plans to do with all that ice. The seller mentions it's for charity, leaving them puzzled. Later, Suchin heads to one of the city's fanciest restaurants. In his past life, he never enjoyed such luxuries. He spots a dish priced at 17,000 yuan and orders it. The chef, Duanya, known as the Hell's Chef during the apocalypse for her ability to turn corpses into edible food, brings him the dish. Suchin recognizes her and compliments the meal, thinking it would be wonderful to have her cook for him. Outside, Jiang Shaoqian and Lena discuss Suchin's apparent wealth. Jiang Shaoqian dreams of becoming a rich wife, while Suchin decides to visit an expensive bar. Surrounded by girls, he starts drinking. A girl next to him shares her heartbreak story, and Suchin explains men's instincts. She asks if he's single, leading to a moment of connection. Jiang Shaoqian and Lena entered the bar, searching for Suchin. They spot him with the girls, and he takes one to a room. Jiang Shaoqian and Lena shouted at him to stop, but Suchin and the girl run into the room and lock the door. Inside, the girl nervously reveals it's her first time. Suchin, feeling awkward, flicks her forehead and advises her to stock up on food and stay safe. He leaves, thinking it's a shame he couldn't seize the opportunity. As Jiang Shaoqian and Lena kick down doors, Suchin easily slips away. The next day, Suchin receives all the delivery trucks, from ice and charcoal to banquet supplies. The crowd is confused, wondering why Suchin rented such a huge warehouse just to receive so much stuff. Even Jiang Shaoqian is puzzled about what he's doing. At that moment, Lena points out that the banquet from the Green City Hotel has arrived. Workers are laying out carpets and organizing tables beautifully. Could it be that a bunch of people will suddenly arrive, and he will declare his love and propose? Jiang Shaoqian, acting all high and mighty, says that even if he proposes, she'll still think about his case. They decide they need to see his sincerity and go talk to him. She then goes to Suchin and asks why he's buying so much stuff. Suchin says he'll explain later, but asks if she can help him organize everything. Jiang Shaoqian is scared, thinking he's a jerk for making a girl who's about to become rich soon do such hard work. Lena suggests it must be some kind of test to see if she's qualified to become a rich girl. At that, Jiang Shaoqian changes her attitude and says she's not the weak type of woman. She knows how to be delicate but also knows how to work and starts carrying the boxes, though she's dying of anger, thinking that when she becomes a rich woman, Suchin will pay. At that moment, Lena tries to seduce him, offering to help carry the boxes. She's sure that someone as rich as him won't have just one woman. As long as she shows a bit of what she has to offer, she might at least get to enjoy a little. Meanwhile, Suchin is thinking he can't lose free labor like this. After all, with so much ice and so many tables to set up, they'll need help. Time passes, and they finally finish everything. Jiang Shaoqian is dripping with sweat, and her legs are shaking. She says she's been carrying stuff since morning and vows that once she becomes his wife, she'll make sure to take all his money. Lena, lying on the ground, is also exhausted, saying that Su-chun really made them carry those heavy ice boxes. Jiang Shaoqian says enough of this test. He has to propose to her right away and start the party before the guests arrive. Lena agrees, urging him to hurry up because the food is getting cold. Meanwhile, Su-chun gives a good amount of extra money to all the delivery guys, who thank him from the bottom of their hearts. At that moment, Jiang Shaoqian comes and asks Su-chun if he has something to tell her. Su-chun thanks her for the help but says, unfortunately, there's no payment for them, so they can leave now. Jiang Shaoqian is shocked and tells him to stop joking. The guests are already arriving, and there are 1,000 tables. Why doesn't he just reveal that he wants to marry her so they can have a good life? Su-chun looks back and says that's impossible for him. After all, he's already sold the house and accumulated a bunch of debts. Lena says that doesn't make sense. How can someone with no money buy so much ice? Su-chun explains he's only doing all this to help his very rich boss, who wants to do a charity project. Jiang Shaoqian loses her temper and attacks him, saying he's been lying to her the whole time. Su-chun says he hasn't lied about anything. She falls to the ground with a monstrous look, calling him a poor loser who can forget about marrying her. Su-chun says he's not interested at all. She angrily leaves, saying he's a bastard and will regret it. As they both leave, Su-chun thinks they'll regret it once the apocalypse starts. He then closes the warehouse door to start storing everything in his space, feeling satisfied with his preparations. Back at the hotel, Wang Dahai, the guy he borrowed money from, and he's also Wang Haoyu's big brother, is telling Jiang Shaoqian to follow Wang Haoyu and be a good girl, promised her to have a good life if she do so. Wang Haoyu pulls Jiang Shaoqian aside and tells her not to pay attention to that loser Su-chun anymore. She should stick with him all the time anyway. She's grinding her teeth, looking forward to his performance tonight. Wang Haoyu reassures her, saying he'll ask his brother Wang Dahai to deal with Su-chun for her. Jiang Shaoqian thinks that Wang Haoyu isn't really that bad after all. Plus, he has his influential brother. He's definitely better than that loser. Just then, Su-chun appears, mocking her for throwing herself at anyone. She's startled and asks what he's doing there. Wang Haoyu points at him and tells his brother it was Su-chun who hit him. Wang Dahai said he didn't expect it to be Su-chun who dared to touch his little brother, and Wang Haoyu asked if he know him. Wang Dahai explains that Su-chun borrowed 600,000 yuan from him and has to pay it back by tomorrow. Wang Haoyu says that's perfect. They can settle these two things. Jiang Shaoqian is now happily saying she really got rid of a loser, especially one who owes money to brother Dahai. Su-chun says it really is impossible to have a good meal in that place. Wang Dahai reminds him that the payment date is tomorrow. Why is he here in his hotel acting like everything's fine? Wang Haoyu shouts at his brother not to even talk to this guy since he hit him. Lu Xinrui then appears and asks what's going on and if they can resolve it. Wang Dahai says if she forces Su-chun to kneel down and apologize, they can let it slide for today. She then asks Su-chun what's going on. He says it's just some pests bothering him. Wang Dahai smacks the table, saying he was only calm because the payment is due tomorrow. From afar, a guy with a goatee beard asks what's going on and who let him cause trouble here. Su-chun and Wang Dahai recognize this guy as Gao Chong. Wang Dahai starts apologizing and asking what he's doing here. Gao Chong says he has important matters to discuss here today, and it's not for him to cause trouble. Wang Dahai knows Gao Chong is an entrepreneur involved in various underground activities and has a lot of people under his command. It's really not good to go against him. With that, Wang Dahai apologizes, saying he'll come back later. Su-chun recognizes Gao Chong, also known as Skull Crasher. In the apocalypse, Gao Chong became one of the most powerful forces and even had the Hell Chef working for him. Su-chun remembers that this hotel was one of the first places where some people with powers appeared. Maybe Gao Chong got so strong because of something that will happen here. Gao Chong stares at Su-chun, while Su-chun thinks that whatever opportunity arises in this hotel, he'll seize it. Gao Chong notices Su-chun's intense glare at him. Sometime later, Gao Chong takes Duanya to meet a mysterious man named Mr. Sun, Curios. She asks, "What does this guy want to discuss with me?" Mr. Sun, with a wide smile, replies, "I've been looking forward to meeting the wonderful Miss Duan." and serves her a drink. Duanya's eyes are fixing on the glass suspiciously, realizing it probably contains something more than just wine. Meanwhile, Su-chan is having flashbacks to his past life when he hid in a basement with Jiang Shaoqian, barely surviving. He never imagined that in this life, he'd kick her to the curb and she'd still follow him. But hey, it's the perfect opportunity for revenge. Looking over at the pool, Su-chan sees the two brothers trying to cool off, complaining about the unusually hot night, but consoling themselves with the thought that bikinis would soon appear. They gaze up at the moon, commenting on how strangely bright it is, almost like the sun decided to pull a night shift. Just then, Wang Haoyu, in a fit of romantic fervor, declares his love for Jiang Shaoqian, while Su-chan, now in his room, raises a glass to the moon, welcoming the apocalypse with a smirk. Suddenly, the moon starts to rumble and blaze, shooting death rays of light. Everyone outside feels a searing pain in their skin and starts running back to the hotel, screaming, "Why is the moonlight burning us?" Inside the hotel, people are bewildered. It's night, but it's as bright as day. The three of them are sprinting, their skin reddening like lobsters in a pot. Desperate for relief, they spot an aquarium, knock it over, and dive in. Wang Dahai's henchmen, utterly confused, ask, "What's going on, and where is Brother Dahai?" At that moment, Wang Haoyu remembers his brother, who staggers in, looking like he just auditioned for a horror movie with his burnt skin. Meanwhile, in the room, Mr. Sun is perplexed, asking Duanya why she isn't drinking. Gao Chang tries to salvage the situation, suggesting they join the banquet. But Mr. Sun, with a menacing grin, insists, "In this city, nobody refuses the wine I pour." Duanya fumes, realizing Gao Chang set her up, eager to climb the social ladder by handing her over to this shady character. She knows Sun Dibiao's notorious reputation and is certain the wine is spiked. As the moon's death rays intensify, the three of them hurriedly close the curtains, pondering what on earth is happening. Mr. Sun suggests they go downstairs to get a better understanding, and Duanya, seizing the chance to escape, eagerly agrees. In the lobby, Lu Xinrui tries to calm the panicked crowd, assuring them that rescue teams must be on their way. Gao Chang, seeking answers, asks a henchman for an update. The henchman reports that the moon turned red and the temperature soared over 70 degrees. The news says many people are injured or burned. Mr. Sun frantically calls the minister, requesting a pickup, but later informs Gao Chang that there's a slight issue. They're not coming. Meanwhile, Wang Dahai is writhing in pain, his skin thoroughly scorched. People try applying burn ointments, but it's like using a band-aid on a bullet wound. He needs a hospital, but stepping outside is like walking into an oven. Desperate, he calls Xiao Dao, one of his henchmen, to pick him up. Xiao Dao answers the call from the underground parking lot, and initially agreeable, he rolls outside and realizes it's hotter than a sauna. His car tires burst, and he abandons the vehicle, calling Wang Dahai to say with this crazy weather he will go back. So Wang Dahai and the other can figure it out themselves. Running through the blistering heat, Xiao Dao's shoes melt, causing him to slip and fall. He looks around, horrified to see a nearby body already turned into a crispy critter. Panicking, he tries to stand, not noticing that half his face is now part of the asphalt. Back at the hotel, everyone is on edge as they hear his scream over the phone. Amidst all this chaos, our protagonist, Su-chun, enjoys the luxury of a temperature-controlled room, sleeping soundly and blissfully unaware of the fiery mayhem outside. The government has issued urgent announcements in response to the intense heat emitted by the moon. Temperatures have soared by over 75 degrees, with ground temperatures exceeding 100 degrees. This unprecedented event has already resulted in hundreds of casualties. Residents are advised to stay indoors to avoid severe skin and respiratory burns. During this chaos, one of the power plants explodes due to the excessive heat, cutting off some communications. Wang Dahai loses contact with Xiao Dao, and everyone is gathered in the last remaining room of the hotel. Jiang Shaoqian and Lina complain about being in a room full of men. Suddenly, the power goes out, and with it, the air conditioning. As the heat becomes unbearable, everyone starts taking off their shirts in desperation. Jiang Shaoqian remembers that Su-chun's room has a pool. Meanwhile, our protagonist, Su-chun, is swimming peacefully. He had anticipated the power outage due to the explosion at the power plants, which is why he chose a room with a pool. Additionally, his room has vertical air conditioners and giant batteries to maintain the temperature. However, he's missing some ice. Changing his position, he sits on the sofa, feeling content. Hungry, he sets up a banquet on the table, thinking that a small breakfast is needed on the first day of the apocalypse. He wonders when Gao Chang will gain power. Just then, someone knocks on the door, claiming to know he's inside. Su Chun, confident in his teleportation ability and preparations, decides to open the door. As the door opens, a cold breeze flows out, bringing indescribable relief to everyone outside. They marvel at the air conditioning and comfort inside. Su Chun asks if they need anything. Wang Haoyu points out the ice, pool, food, and electricity in Su Chen's room. Lina and Jiang Shaoqian angrily demanded to know how he could let them suffer outside while he lived in luxury. They insist he vacate the room. Wang Dahai steps into the room, but Su Chun shoots him in the stomach. Shocked, Wang Dahai sees the wound as Su Chun warns him that another step will be his last. Trembling, everyone wonders if Su Chun really has a gun. Another shot rings out, and Wang Dahai falls with a leg wound. Su Chun points outside, giving everyone 3 seconds to leave before he starts shooting again. Gao Chang talks to Lu Xinrui, questioning how such a large hotel could lack food. She apologizes, explaining that they recently hosted a banquet for over 1,000 people, and the food deliveries were scheduled for today. Meanwhile, Mr. Sun, drenched in water, commands Lu Xinrui to bring all available water and food. Families, outraged by his water waste, start a fight in the lobby. Injured, Wang Dahai arrives and warns everyone that Su Chun shot someone. Gao Chang, seeing the wound, realizes there might be a tough guy upstairs. Jiang Shaoqian informs everyone that Su Chen's room has electricity, air conditioning, and even a pool. Skeptical but desperate, people surround her, asking for confirmation. She assures them that Su Chun has plenty of ice and food. The crowd decides to head to his room, with Gao Chang sending a henchman to check it out. Once again, Su Chun opens the door, and everyone feels the refreshing cool air. The crowd pleads for his kindness, asking him to care for the elderly and share his resources. A chubby boy spots fried chicken and leaps to grab it, only to be kicked in the belly by Su Chun. Furious, the parents accuse Su Chun of being a murderer. As people start to enter his room, Su Chun shoots a man in the back, who falls to the ground. Su Chun warns that while he may be alone, everyone there has only one life. Su Chun knew the situation was dangerous, but at any moment, he could jump through the portal and disappear. Downstairs, Wang Haoyu is furious after his brother suffered 2 gunshot wounds. A crowd threw his body out because he was already dying and decomposing. Wang Haoyu insists they have to kill that damn Su Chun. Meanwhile, in front of Su Chen's room, Jiang Shaoqian and Lina are sweating and dripping with heat, pleading to come in. They assure Su Chun that he wouldn't have the courage to shoot them and profess their love, promising to join him in an adventure all night long if he lets them stay. Su Chun, amused by their eagerness, decides to let them in. They are all happy and disbelieving but are suddenly interrupted by Wang Haoyu, who barges in, hitting them and declaring his intent to kill Su Chun. As he is about to touch Su Chun, he takes a blow to the face from Su Chen's stick, causing everyone to fall to the ground. Wang Haoyu, beaten and in their arms, is afraid to enter the room. Su Chun tells them to get lost, and they leave, realizing he was just playing with them. Su Chun warns that if anyone tries anything, the artillery robot he has installed will shoot everything out in seconds. An armored vehicle is seen outside the hotel, and everyone believes it is the rescue team. The soldiers, armed with rifles and wearing protective clothing, enter the hotel and ask for someone named Lu Xinghua. Upon identifying himself, Lu Xinghua is told to put on an insulation suit and come with them. Everyone asks to be rescued together, but the soldier assures them to stay calm. The rescue operation will take place tonight at midnight in Silicon Valley Square. The residents celebrate, feeling reassured that the government hasn't abandoned them. Mr. Sun offers to pay $1 billion if they take him now, but he is restrained by one of the soldiers, who tells him not to interfere with the operation. Mr. Sun urges Gao Chang to do something, but with so many guns aimed at him, there's no way. Zhang Xiaoqian grabs one of the soldiers and informs him of a killer living upstairs, with Lena adding that he's already killed several people and will soon finish everyone here. They plead for the soldiers to save the people in the hotel. A soldier named Xiaofeng decides to investigate and is cautioned by his friend to be careful and not act impulsively. Xiaofeng takes his gun and starts climbing the stairs towards Su Chen's room. Zhang Xiaoqian thinks this is the perfect situation to steal the room for herself after Xiaofeng kills Su Chen. Xiaofeng cautiously walks down the hallway, observing every corner until he notices a camera watching him. Suddenly, Su Chen opens the door and throws a flashbang, blinding Xiaofeng. A tear gas grenade falls at his feet, and as he's coughing, Su Chen appears from behind and hits him on the head. Sometime later, Xiaofeng wakes up in Su Chen's room, not understanding what's happening and why it's so cold. Su Chen tells him that his name is Lu Xiaofeng and that he's a captain of the Special Forces. Now that he's awake, Su Chen wants to talk. Xiaofeng, looking around at the ice cubes, asks what's going on and where Su Chen got those grenades and weapons. Su Chen says he's just a regular guy who recently graduated and acquired the weapons on a trip to the Middle East. Su Chen then asks if the government has set the rescue points for tomorrow morning, surprising Xiaofeng with his knowledge. Su Chen realizes everything is going to be the same as in his past life and warns Xiaofeng that even though the temperature is lower at midnight, people can't stand more than 10 minutes outside. The majority will die just trying to reach the rescue point. Xiaofeng argues that they have no choice since many people are starving in their homes and can't stand the heat anymore. Their only chance is to reach the rescue point, but modifying the vehicles in time to rescue everyone indoors is impossible. At least if they put blankets over their heads, they might make it. Su Chen places his hand on Xiaofeng's shoulder and points a gun at him. Xiaofeng asks him to calm down and at least let him warn everyone to use blankets. Su Chen cuts the rope binding Xiaofeng, telling him he's free and that he respects his efforts to save lives, but warns him not to come back. Xiaofeng asks if Su Chen isn't afraid he'll return with others, but Su Chen shows him a camera with facial recognition and an automatic machine gun, saying there's no need to be afraid. Xiaofeng recognizes the setup and leaves, acknowledging the warning. Returning to the armored vehicle, Mr. Sun is angry that not even a soldier could deal with Su Chen. He hits Gao Chang, saying he really can't do anything. Gao Chang's henchmen ask if they will tolerate this. Gao Chang explains that after everyone is rescued, they will still need connections, so it's dangerous to act now. At that moment, Su Chen appears and mocks them for dreaming of restoring order during chaos. One of Gao Chang's henchmen gets angry, but Gao Chang tells him to calm down and asks why Su Chen came downstairs. Su Chen then shows a bucket of ice, saying he came to negotiate. The henchman tells Gao Chang it's good to kill that kid now and take everything he has in the room, but Su Chen points the gun at him, and the guy gives up the idea. Gao Chang then says they should talk business, and he hands over the edible ice to both of them. When they eat it, they're impressed with how delicious it is. Gao Chang now also wants to kill Su Chen to take everything he has, but first, they'll meet his demands. At that moment, Mr. Sun kicks him in the stomach, saying he's a damn liar for hiding those ice cubes, and starts stepping on him, saying if he hides anything else, he'll die. Gao Chang is losing it, and Mr. Sun sees Duanya sitting, saying she's a very modest girl. Everyone is about to die of heat, and she hasn't even had the courage to take off her clothes. But he grabs her arm, saying he's tired of seeing her attitude, and he's in the mood to do certain things, so she better follow him. Duan slaps him in the face, calling him a bastard. But suddenly Sun Debiao rips her shirt, saying for her disobedience he'll take advantage first, and then everyone will do what they want. She falls to the ground scared, and he says she's sweating a lot, and he's just doing her a favor. Until Gao Chang appears behind him, saying enough of this. Sun Debiao turns to say something, but Gao Chang punches him in the neck with a closed hand, breaking it instantly. He falls to the ground dead, and Gao Chang says Su Chen is right. Indeed, this place is already chaos, and people like him have to die with it. He then warns that this place is now under his control. Whoever doesn't want to obey will go to the rescue point or die here. Upstairs, Su Chen observes, saying that apparently his words were effective. Gao Chang was already the boss of this place in the past life, so we just sped things up, and with that the two of them have already been thrown out. Gao Chang then starts drinking the ice Su Chen gave him, while Zhang Xiaoqian and Lena beg for a little peace, saying they'll do whatever he wants. He throws it to them, saying it's okay. They'll give them some, but they better obey any demand. His henchman asks if they're not going to the rescue point, and Gao Chang says it's too far. It's not certain they'll survive. The henchman asks why he wants these women if they're running out of resources. Gao Chang says it's all part of a plan to deal with Su Chun. At midnight, Lina and Zhang Xiaoqian try to leave covering themselves with blankets, but the henchman comes and takes everything off them. Zhang Xiaoqian asks what he thinks he's doing, but the henchman warns that now that they've taken the ice, they'll have to stay with him for a while. Those who decided not to obey Gao Chang because he didn't provide supplies or water are trying to reach the rescue point, but even though it's midnight, the ground is much hotter than they imagined. They're trying to protect their feet with a piece of wood, but it makes it difficult to walk and one of them stumbles. Upon contact with the ground, their hand and face melt, leaving the survivor behind to die. Meanwhile, Ha's body, which was burning on the ground until now, wakes up with red eyes. From the balcony, Su Qian observes everything, remembering that in the past life, he almost died on this walk. Zhang Xiaoqian and Lina say they can do whatever he wants, but why don't they at least go to the room? The henchman says they're being too shy. There's no need to try to hide. But suddenly the glass shatters, and the two chubby guys who were burned come running after everyone. Wang Haoyu thinks they're zombies and asks if they'll turn too if they're bitten. Gao Chang says they need to figure it out, then grabs him by the neck and throws him to the two creatures. Wang Haoyu's back is burned just by making contact with the creatures, and Su Chun appears with a blade, telling everyone to get out of the way. The henchman can't believe he wants to deal with these monsters, and Gao Chang is eager, thinking that as soon as Su Chun kills the two, he'll kill him and take everything for himself. Su Chun knows that bodies exposed to heat turn into zombies, but they don't share any virus. You could say they're more like drought demons. The difference is that these demons retain some memories from their past life. Su Chun stands still and Sun Debiao passes by him and goes towards Gao Chang. That's because he was killed by him, but Wang Dehai was killed by Su Chun and attacks him. However, seeing this situation, he's sure that the chance for Gao Chang to awaken some power is by killing Sun Debiao. So if he goes in his direction and cuts off Sun Debiao, a purple crystal comes out of the body, and that's a kind of core that can evolve a human body. He grabs the crystal, jumps back, and pushes Wang Dehai towards everyone. With that, he goes up the stairs and tells them to have fun. Gao Chang grabs Wang Haoyu on the ground again and throws him towards the creature. Back in his room, Su Chun says these crystal nuclei are extremely rare. He puts it in a glass and drinks it, since that's the absorption method. The body extracts the energy from the crystal and strengthens itself. His eyes turn red and he starts screaming while all his clothes burn. He falls on the ground on top of an ice block. While in the lobby, the drought demon has destroyed all drinkable water. Now that there's nothing to drink or eat, Lina wants to escape, but the henchman stops her, saying she's not going to run away. At that moment, Lina says they should use Zhang Xiaoqian. She was Su Chin's fiancée, and if they throw her at the door, it's certain he'll open it, and then they can try to steal something from him. The henchman says it's a great idea, and Zhang Xiaoqian says she'll help, but she wants to eat meat first. The henchman says there's no meat since the refrigerators have been off for days. Gao Chang looks at her and asks if she wants meat. Then he has a solution. They restrain Lina, and he warns her if she wants to, she'll have to do it. Zhang Xiaoqian is shocked, asking if he means they're going to eat her meat. While Lina is trembling, Zhang Xiaoqian is going towards her. Lina pleads, saying, "What are you doing? You're not going to do that, are you?" But Zhang Xiaoqian goes to her face and says she just betrayed her by talking about her being Su Chin's fiancée. Since she did that, she deserves it, and she stabs her multiple times. Gao Chang and the henchman are even scared to see how she did that without hesitation. Zhang Xiaoqian is going crazy, saying that when she's full she'll go up and drink Su Chin's blood. The henchman looks at Gao Chang and asks if they're really going to do that. Gao Chang says to call Duanya, "Do it quickly or else they'll dry up." Meanwhile, in the room, Su Chun is jumping around with his new body. Not only is he more resistant to heat, but he's also more agile and strong. At that moment, he sees Duanya at the door, standing at the entrance. She's thinking it's getting crazy down there. She doesn't have a chance of surviving if she stays there, so she has to try her luck and use what's left of her value to get something here. Right at that moment, Su Chun opens the door naked and she gets scared. She screams and he apologizes, saying it was unintentional. He was excited about some news in the room. He then tells her that even though he has resources, it's limited, and decides they just met, and he can't accept her just because she's beautiful, right? He remembers that in the past life, she was a very smart woman. Furthermore, she formed a cooperative relationship with Gao Chong. However, even though he had thought about having her around, the atmosphere feels strange now. Duanya then tells him that she's not just a cook. She's also a doctor who has been working as a surgeon for 3 years. She's thinking that his room is extremely well equipped. Not only does it have electricity, but it also has ice and food. She needs to demonstrate her worth to stay here. On the sofa, Suchin acknowledges that being a doctor is indeed a good proposition. However, as she knows, resources are extremely scarce and it's uncertain if they'll survive until tomorrow. Feeling uncertain upon hearing this, she says that as long as he doesn't kick her out of the room, she'll do whatever he wants. Upon hearing this proposal, Suchin immediately states that this is her new home. She feels embarrassed thinking she said it a bit hastily and unintentionally. Suchin warns her that her only choice is to behave. If he catches her planning something behind his back, their relationship will end. Duanya assures him that she understands and will never doubt any of his methods or determination. Suchin then suggests that she can demonstrate her determination by undressing. She feels embarrassed and asks him, "Now is it the time to start?" This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video.